Hey everyone, Vortex TCG here, and today I'm going to be discussing something that I usually don't talk about on the channel, and that is relating to tournaments, mainly the Digimon Ultimate Cup that is happening between March and April. Now, if you haven't heard the news, essentially Digimon has announced a lot of different rule changes that are happening for these events. But before we get into that, let's discuss where this all began. So, this all really started off when Bandai Namco posted a big Google Docs form talking about events for Digimon card game. And in this document, it was talking about different formats that you can expect to see or test or see in other events, etc. about just the main tournament itself. So, there was a lot of really weird and interesting ones in there as well, but there were big modification on game rules. This is stuff like super security, where it was like the start of the game you start off with 10 security, or you have to. There was just like so many random ones, but we got a little bit worried because essentially we kind of thought like if they're giving us a Google Doc form about different formats for Ultimate Cup, which by the way is probably one of the more bigger events for Digimon tournaments as a whole. I think it's probably more popular than the what was they called? The regionals, and I think they're probably like a little, well, they're definitely lower in regards to DC ones. So it was very interesting to see it for sure. But today we get the announcement that new rules have been announced for these events, and it's quite interesting because the rules that they've announced here are rules that were never discussed in the bullet points on the Google Doc form originally, which is a bit worrying because either a lot of people really want singleton color decks, or they just made something up and was like, I hope it goes well. So let's discuss the event, shall we? So this is for March and April events, and it's called single color deck building. This is the main modified rule, and so players must construct a deck and a Digi-Egg deck using cards of only one color. So if you play red, you have to play red. If you play blue, you play blue. However, there are exceptions to that rule. So multicolor cards with a matching color are also legal for use. This means cards like Black War Greymon, which is going to be a big discussion point at these tournaments, is legal because if you play red or black, you can put it in your deck. And you also have a different restricted list for this event, which is very interesting. And let's get into that list because I think that's very important, and I think it shows how unprepared Digimon and Bandai are for this event. So they have restricted to 1 cards and banned cards. So for restricted to 1, we have the promo Grand Quagumon. So this just means that you can only play one of it. And I think this is essentially a mission of saying Grandis is dead at these events, because Grand Quagu is the one that gets you to your OTK essentially, and now that you can't do it, there's no point of playing the deck. So you'll see a lot more Bloom Lord and Hydra Mon instead, probably. And then the other card that is restricted to 1 is Chaos Degradation, probably one of the best security control cards that they have, and it disappearing is obviously nice, but I think if you were to hit other cards, it would be a lot better, such as the Magna Angimon. I think that if you were to hit the yellow package in general, I think Magna Angi is a card that you must hit because it's what really enables a lot of the recovery for that deck. Then we get onto the banned cards, and this is where I go like, what are we doing essentially? So the first card they ban is a card that I actually agree with. They banned Death Xmon, which is obviously just a generic, powerful Digimon that can essentially come out for very low costs. So having that banned, I think, is very important. And it also hits purple. I think the Chaos Degradation and the Death Xmon hit purple quite a bit. So thank goodness that's not there. And then the next two hits are very weird to me. So they ban Garurumon X Antibody, the BT9 one obviously. And then they also ban the BT4 Cerberusmon Werewolf mode. Now, I don't get these hits whatsoever because for me, I think having the X Antibody option card and Callboy banned, or not available to play essentially because you can only play one color, is more than enough, right? Because, I mean, the X Antibody decks evolve around X Antibody, and if you don't have X Antibody, then, or Callboy to facilitate the combo, the deck becomes bricky and inconsistent. So I don't understand those hits whatsoever. However, there are some other rules that have been announced, and it's the fact that Mulligan is coming back to this event. Mulligan was, I would say, a fan favourite when the Digimon Con Fest happened, which I think was the first time it got tested. But side decks are not returning, and it's a bit disappointing to see that side decks aren't returning, but I guess if you're playing like a single coloured deck, there isn't really going to be much use for a side deck. So a bit interesting. But when I was thinking of the alternate rule set for like the Ultimate Cups, I was really hoping for Mulligan and side deck, because I think that way it shows a lot more progression in the tournament. It allows you to show like, are you prepared for certain matchups? You know, it elevates the player, because if you know more about the game, then you'll be prepared for whatever comes out essentially. So not very happy that side decks isn't announced. Happy that Mulligan exists, and I think Mulligan's probably going to play a huge role in this tournament. But like I said before, this rule set was never like announced in the original Google Docs form that it was sent out to players. So, and with the way that this is all presented on social media, it feels like a notepad document essentially, just like a spruced up one essentially. So it feels very rushed. And I think you can see it's very rushed as well, because when the Ultimate Cups were originally announced, we had no idea that there's going to be modified rules essentially. Obviously there was a little bit of a lingering like potential of it happening, because, you know, they said it was going to be for Ultimate Cup, and obviously Ultimate Cup is coming up. But people have already brought their tickets for the events. They've already brought their hotels for this event, or the events that they're going to go to. And now they've been told, hey, your choice of deck is now pretty much invalid because you can't play certain cards, which is worrying, right? Because for me, like, I play a lot of decks as is because I show them on the channel. There's a reason for me to play so many decks. But for the average person that probably plays like one or two decks during a format, might be a little bit difficult, especially because a lot of the cards nowadays are dual coloured. Like Black Wall Grey X Antibody is one colour or two colours, but it plays different versions, so that will survive, right? But hits like the Grandest Hit, the Metal Guru hit, all these things, it doesn't sit well, I don't think. So I'm not very happy with the rule set. I really hope, what I hope is that we get like an RBO1 situation where they go like, oh, we hear you and we're not doing this ever again. And I'm like, thank goodness. I'll make a video thanking Bandai Namco if they ever do that, but they won't. So yeah, overall, I'm not very happy with the choice. I think if we were given like ample time, like heads up, I think it would be fine. But as like the event is happening in about a month, so I don't feel great about it. But what do you guys think about it? Do you like the modified rules? Do you think that they should be like a main event, or do you think like these modified rule lists should be a side event? Obviously, side events are huge in Digimon. We have like singleton cubes that happen quite often at major events. We also have 3v3 events that happen. So seeing this as a main event is kind of disappointing. Obviously, there's potential that like different decks will rise to the top, but it don't mean anything because it's only for these events. So again, what do you guys think of it? Let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you guys next time, hopefully with better news.